Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel and to our case that we're working on here with our very wealthy clients called the Whitmores. This case is a perfect example of somebody who, quote, wants to be on fire, financially independent and retire early. And so in video 1 and 2, we went over the introduction of who the Whitmores were. As a recall, they were a couple in their late 40s and early 50s that sold their business for a large amount of money. And with that, they were retiring very early and needed to lay out a plan to meet a 40-plus year retirement horizon. So they sold their business, dealt with some tax issues. They're dealing with how do they turn that lump sum of money they got from the sale of their business into a retirement paycheck? How do they not run out of money? Pay as little as taxes as legally possible. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to close up this case. Like I said, this is our third video. And I'm going to just give a quick review of who they are, of what they have. And then I'm going to walk you through on some advanced planning that I would do with a couple like this to help them reduce their taxes, increase their safety, and increase their income, and hopefully increase their assets for the rest of their lives. So my name is Michael Fry. I am with a company called RWC for Life, and I have been helping people retire confidently for over 35 years. And this is just another video of another type of client that we can work with and help. I hope you get a lot out of this. If you're looking for help yourself, if you'd like to see how we could help you, we are offering a free retirement playbook video, and that video will walk you through the steps of working with us, and that video would be found down in the description of this video. So with all that said, let's get on with the Whitmores. So on my screen here, you will see, as a reminder, that the Whitmores have a net worth of about $14 million. And with a large net worth like that also comes large stresses, such as taxes, such as asset investment diversification, protection against asset protection on their net worth. So we're going to tackle just a few of these today and hopefully give you guys some ideas that could help you out. So what I want to focus on this first page here is that they have this $12 million sitting in this joint investment account. This account is sitting there invested in a way that will create income for them, but also is going to create some tax issues for them. So we're going to address that. Another reminder about the Whitmores is they do offer to their church a tithe of about $2,000 a month, so $24,000 a year. We're going to work that into the plan. And they do have a large IRA that we want to address from a tax standpoint while they have a window here of possibly taking advantage of some tax strategies to help them with the large IRA that they have. So when we're talking about their income, you can see here that this yellow mark is showing how much income they are taking out per year to live on. And you can see we're talking $550,000, $400,000, $400,000, and then going up from there. That's the income on an annual basis that they're going to be withdrawing from their investment accounts. You probably have noticed this large spike right here in the third year. So as a reminder, the Whitmores want to buy a vacation property and pay cash. So this large spike right here is counted as an income withdrawal that they have taken from their investments on top of their income that they're using to live on to buy this vacation property they want. And that's what is representing that. So the way that we would look at this is saying, okay, that seems like a lot of money that's coming out for most people. But what is it based on the percentage of their actual withdrawal rate that they're taking based on their assets? And this is going to show us that. So you can see that they're taking a withdrawal rate of 3.79, 2.87. This one is a little misleading because that's that large spike coming out to pay for the vacation property. But all these other ones are right around 3%. So this is where we can watch if somebody is getting in trouble. If this percentage spikes for some reason, that means one of two things. One, they took out more money than normal, and that would generate the spike. Or two, their assets dropped, and so the amount of money they were taking out represented a higher percentage of that income. So this is one of the things that we keep our eyes on when we're analyzing somebody's retirement plan. And that's what it is for Whitmore. So what I want to do is shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about investment risk. And with the Whitmores, we had the Whitmores take what we call our investment assessment, risk assessment. And on that investment risk assessment, they actually scored a risk score of 76. And a 76 risk score is, as you see here, in the high tolerance area. Anywhere between 70 and 100 would be high tolerance, medium tolerance between 40 and 70. So they scored in the higher tolerance risk level. And this is one of the common things that we do see when people retire. They make one of two mistakes. One, they either invest too conservatively when they retire, and then they run the risk of not having enough growth on their accounts to take care of inflation down the road, or they invest too aggressively. They were aggressive during all their working years, and now all of a sudden they have retired, but they have not changed how they look at risk when it comes from a risk standpoint. So what we wanted to show you here on the screen, this is how we deal with it with our clients, is we're looking at their current portfolio that they have, the Whitmores, is a risk score of a 61. They tested out at a 76. So they would fall a little bit into the category of being maybe too conservatively invested. And so there's a couple things we can do. We can take a small step up from a risk standpoint, which is what I'm recommending. I'm recommending that we go from their current risk up to the next target portfolio, which would still be a growth portfolio. And that way it's moving them closer to what their risk score was, but still not taking them way out of where they were originally. And I'm going to show you what that does for their accounts. It makes a huge difference of growth projections on a Monte Carlo simulation for them as they go along. So I wanted to show this screen to you because we are going to show you what happens if we move their portfolio up a little bit from a risk standpoint. And so this goes into exactly that. Their current portfolio right here is basically a 60-40 portfolio. 60% in equities and 40% in bond type accounts. So they're in what's called a 60-40 portfolio. And with our slight adjustment, we're going to move them from a 60-40 portfolio to a 70-30 portfolio. Remember, they're only 50 years old, so they have time that they have to keep inflation at bay. And this is exactly, if you watched our first video, why we use the bucket strategy. Because the bucket strategy is going to be made up of the money they're taking now is going to be coming more from that bond area, and we're giving more money into the growth area for down the road to hedge for inflation. So when I get to the portfolio adjustment, this is all I'm doing. I'm doing a small move from literally a 62% equity to a 70% equity. And you'll see the projection difference of what their assets will be worth for them as they go along. So that takes care of one of the problems that people have when they retire. I'm either too aggressive or too conservatively invested. And so we want to look at that to make sure we're in the right risk assessment area that you are going to be comfortable with and also meet your goals. Okay, so let's get right into our retirement analysis for the Whitmores. And let me introduce you a little bit to this page so you can recognize how this will actually work. On this first page here, what you're going to see is this blue area is showing a projection of their net worth over their lifetime. So you can see that at age 93, when I have that second spouse dying, the Whitmore should have about $22,800,000 or $22,822,000 in their net worth. So when we look at that, what we're looking at is when I make changes of recommendation, are we increasing or decreasing their net worth? Are we increasing or decreasing their taxes? And so our software, our Castle software, will give us the ability to analyze this to find out what adjustments make sense and which ones don't. So this bottom part is where all of the adjustments that I can make are going to be made. Okay, and we're gonna address a few of these right now. So as on the last screen I shared with you, we talked about the asset allocation. So I'm going to adjust that. We're going to see what differences that make. We're going to talk a little bit right now about Social Security, and we're going to talk a little bit about Roth conversion. So those are some of the standard areas that people look at when they get ready to retire. Now understand, the Whitmores, they have a large net worth, $14 million. You may be sitting there without a net worth of $14 million. Maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's 1.4, 2.4, whatever it is. The strategies and ideas I'm presenting work with obviously a smaller net worth to help you retire, but we are trying to help this young couple who is, quote, on fire because they're wanting to be financially independent and retire early, which they're achieving and completing. We're going to address them as a 49-year-old and a 51-year-old. So let's get right at it and let's talk about Social Security. So the great thing about our software is right away I'm able to come in here and say, okay, your current strategy was that you were going to take Social Security at age 70. I'm going to ask my software, and they're going to base it on all of the data that we've put in here, the assets, the income, the ages, and it's going to tell me what is the actual optimal time to take Social Security. And you can see once I click that, it actually changed Jennifer from age 70 to age 67. So they're saying that she should take her Social Security at full retirement age, not wait till age 70. Well, the question is, what does that do here for our net worth? Okay, so I'm going to hit refresh, and we're going to see that the net worth went up by about $137,000 over their lifetime. So just that one adjustment made a $130,000 difference to the net worth for the Whitmores. Okay. That's going to be the smallest change out of all the adjustments we make, but it's part of the planning and part of what we would definitely recommend that they do. The next thing I want to talk about is asset allocation. We're going to see a bigger jump on this one because of the time frame of their investments. And this is really important because we're not making a huge shift from a risk standpoint. We're going up a couple points from a risk standpoint, and we're increasing their equity play by about 8%. But if we do that and we change this to a growth portfolio from where they're currently at, this number up top is going to change pretty dramatically. And you can see it went up by $2.3 million. So when we count in just the change of that growth, that's about $2.2 million projected, and this is using a Monte Carlo projection for the Whitmores and testing out to say, what does that growth portfolio look like over the lifetime for this client? And making that little adjustment makes a huge difference. So if we went the other way and said, okay, if we went more conservatively, you can see that that is going to go down by $5.8 million. So that is my example of somebody being too aggressively invested or too conservatively aggressively, let me rephrase that, too conservative on their investment portfolio. And so that's a pretty big swing. So our data is telling us, and the Whitmores are comfortable with going to a growth portfolio. It's not a huge difference of where they were at, but it does make a difference over time. And let's see, we should be back to 2.3 million. There we are. Okay, so we've made two adjustments. One, we've changed the risk profile on their investment account. And two, we optimize their Social Security. We haven't really done anything from a tax standpoint. And there is a tax issue here because they have so much money sitting in a 401 or an IRA that's going to be taxable to them, and then they have so much money, $12 million, sitting in taxable investments. So both of those issues have to be addressed to help lower their tax bill. And so let's look at the first thing that most people look at, which is a Roth conversion. Now, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here and say that our software told us that the most optimal way for this client to do a Roth conversion is to fill up a bucket. And we're talking about a tax bucket, and we filled it up to the 35% tax bucket. And so we took out enough of his IRA to fill up that bucket and pay tax on that, to then convert it to a Roth IRA. So what you're doing with a traditional IRA is that money has grown tax deferred. And when you take it out, you have to pay your current income taxes on that withdrawal. A Roth IRA, that is actually gone in after tax and it's growing tax-free. And when you take a Roth IRA distribution after the IRA has been open for 5 years, you then get that money taken out income tax-free. So a conversion is when we're taking a standard traditional IRA, we're pulling money out of that, paying taxes, and then putting it into a Roth IRA. So we've paid our taxes, and then it will grow tax-free from that time going forward. That is a simple explanation of what a Roth IRA is, or a Roth conversion is. So we just now put in a Roth conversion proposed strategy for this person, the Whitmores, and we're at 2.3 million, and you can see that's gone up to 3.8 million. So that is quite a difference of net worth that we put in for him, as far as, or him, the Whitmores, as far as we've done three things. We've changed their portfolio, we optimized their Social Security, and then we did a Roth conversion for them. Now, the reason that their net worth is higher is because the net worth is a after-tax number that we're using. The actual taxes saved, okay, is our proposed plan reflects $954,000 less in total taxes than the current plan. So you can see here that the blue is the current plan. And you can see how that tax rate kept going up and up and up over time. The green is the conversion plan. You see this giant spike in the beginning, and that's from the taxes that we paid up front to convert it, okay? But then you see that over time, you can see that little line behind there, that over time, that taxes will become less over time, okay? So if we stopped right there with the Whitmores, we've done them a favor. We've done them by saving them taxes. We've increased their net worth, and we've put them in a better position to have a confident, happy retirement based on their assets, taxes, and income. Okay, so let's go a little bit further though. Okay, what I want to show you here is this is the actual conversion of the IRA. I just want to dig into that conversion number a little bit deeper so you can see what that is actually going to do. Okay, so here's what it's saying. Remember, we filled up that bucket to the top tax bracket, the 35% tax bracket, which meant it's telling us that that first year we're converting $650,000 of their traditional IRA to their Roth IRA. And then year 2, we converted another $162,000 of their traditional IRA to the Roth IRA. And then we're done. You can see from this point going forward, their whole IRA is now sitting in a Roth. And we paid the taxes and moved on. So what does that look like from an actual tax standpoint? Well, here's what it looks like. If I find the right page, right here. Okay, so that first year, when we did that conversion, their taxable income was $751,000. There's the 35% tax bracket. And they paid just federal taxes, $247,000 in federal taxes. I want you to remember that number. In fact, let me write that number down. $247,000 in year 2 was $89,000. When they converted the second year, their taxable income was $278,000. And you can see that their tax bill was $89,000 from a federal tax standpoint. And then their taxable income went down to more of a normal area because now it's coming off of their investments. And you can see they dropped down to a 22% tax bracket. And now they're paying these ranges for their federal income tax. So I want you to remember these numbers. I wrote them down. I'll remind you because I'm going to come back after we do our next step for the Whitmores and show you what the difference is from their taxes with one more change. So let's go back to this page right here, which is showing their current plan to their proposed plan. So if you remember, the Whitmores are charitable giving type people. They give $2,000 a month, which is $24,000 a year, to their local church. So what I am going to propose that the Whitmores do, and there's different ways to do some advanced charitable planning, I'm just going to give you one option, is we're going to take a large sum of that $12 million that's sitting in a taxable account. We're going to take $1 million of that money and we're going to donate that into what we call a donor advised fund. So they're going to move this $1 million into this donor advised fund. And that donor advised fund is now going to be what is supplying the charitable giving to their local church. So, and we're going to keep that at the same number that they were giving today. So I'm going to take this $24,000 that they were giving out of their cash flow, and I'm going to make that 0. And I'm going to move $1 million into a donor advised fund. And then I'm going to tell our software that we are still giving $2,000 a month, but that $2,000 a month is coming from this $1 million. So why did I do this? Well, over their lifetime, they are going to be giving away a lot of money to charities. Okay? This is a way to take $1 million off of the table from a tax standpoint. That $1 million, if that $1 million was earning 5%, that means that $1 million is generating a $50,000 interest gain that will be taxable every year. Okay? And the Whitmores don't have much tax deductions. So if they're donating $24,000 a year to their church, I'm not sure that goes above and helps them much on their taxes from a deduction standpoint. However, by taking $1 million out of that taxable account and putting it inside of a donor advised fund, which they control the investment, how it's invested, and they can control how that $1 million is paid out to the charities and when and what charities it goes to. So all they're doing is taking $1 million out of that taxable account, putting it into their donor advised fund that they control. They can never liquidate it anymore. They don't actually have access to that $1 million for their personal use. That $1 million is going to a charity, okay? And then what they do is they tell that donor advised fund, hey, send $2,000 a month to our local church. Well, what that did was it created a $1 million tax deduction on their taxes. Well, why is that important? Well, because we just are going to convert a large amount of money from their IRA to a Roth IRA. So by doing this donor advised fund, it's going to help offset my taxes I'm paying on my IRA conversion. Let me show you what that looks like. So up here, you can see we're at 3.8 million net worth, and taxes were at $954,000. So if I change this, and now I added in and made this change of the donor advised fund, the net worth goes to 4.8 million at age 93. So their net worth grew, okay? And the reason it grew is because we're saving them taxes and we're no longer taking $24,000 out of their income. So there's all kinds of mathematical reasons of why their assets, their net worth grew, but also their taxes went down. It was 900 and, well, I forgot what the number was exactly, about 950,000. So it went, they saved another about $200,000 in income taxes by making this adjustment. So let me now go and look at what that actually means from this standpoint, from their actual tax standpoint on their Roth conversion. So this now is showing the same Roth conversion that we did before, except we're converting the whole $800,000. We didn't convert 600 this year and 200 next year. We converted the whole 800,000. And that's because of the tax deduction we got. It's allowing us just to convert and be done with it. Well, when we make that conversion, let's look at what it did from your taxes. Now, if you recall, their taxable income created a tax bill here of $247,000 on their last conversion without doing the donor advised fund. Converting more money, the whole IRA, our taxes paid in this case is $83,000. We saved a lot of money by doing the donor advised fund alongside of the Roth conversion in this case. And part of that charitable deduction carried over for the next year, and you can see they had no taxable income and only paid $4,000 in taxes. So you can see where the tax savings is coming from is a couple approaches. One, we're getting a discount off of the taxes paid on the conversion. We've removed $1 million from a taxable account, and we're getting that deduction up front on the charitable $1 million. And then we're also in the position now that we're giving probably more than $2,000 away per month if we wanted to, and not run out of money on a charitable standpoint. So that's the second thing that we've done here for the Whitmores. So let me review this. We changed their asset allocation to growth. We changed their Social Security where Jennifer takes it at age 67. We incorporated a Roth conversion and matched it with a donor advised fund. There's one more thing we want to do. So we still have a large amount of money sitting inside of a taxable account generating annual taxes, okay? So what would happen if we took over a 5-year period, a portion of that money and funded a survivorship or second to die life insurance policy where the money is going to be growing inside the policy tax deferred. It will pass to your family tax free, and if you take it out properly, if it's a non-MEC, it can come out tax free if you actually needed the money. So I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but on a case like this, I thought let's take a look and see if that increases their situation or hurts them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually include this second to die life policy where over a period of 5 years, they put in $2 million into this policy. So if you remember up here, we're at taxes saved, $1.146 million, and their net worth at the end of their life is $4.8 million. So now let's incorporate the life policy and let's see what that does for them. So their net worth went from $4.8 million to $12 million. I'm sorry, it didn't go from 4.8. It increased from an increase of 4.8 to 12 million, which means we are now $12 million higher in assets at the end of their life than where they started before we made all these adjustments. So we went up about $8 million, about maybe $7.5 million with this life policy. Their net worth now at 93, median wise, can be higher or lower, but we went from about $30 million to $42 million in net worth for this client. And we paid $3.2 million less to Uncle Sam in taxes over their lifetime. So you can see this blue up here is the current taxes, and you can see down below that's the new taxes. So if we went in just at age 70, you can see that their tax bill at age 70 went from $153,000 down to $113,000. At age 80, their tax bill went from $207 down to $90 based on today's tax laws. So the Whitmores are happy. The Whitmores have increased their net worth. They have lowered their taxes. They have put themselves in a position where they're going to be able to give to a charity without hurting their family. Their family will get actually more money than they would have if we didn't do any of these strategies. So I have spent some time with couples just like the Whitmores and helping them put together plans just like this, some larger, some smaller. Most people are retiring in that 65 range, but we have many clients retiring in their 40s, in their 50s, and they are putting together plans just like this. So I would like to invite you to send me an email if you have any questions. Go watch our retirement playbook video. Click in to set an appointment with me if you think I can help you, if you need my help to help you set up your retirement plan. I enjoyed this series. This is the last video of the 3. We'll have some more videos. Go enjoy some of my other videos on my YouTube page. But meanwhile, thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I hope that we could connect soon. Thank you.